Alright guys, so here's the review of the Pagani Design Moonwatch version 3. So I didn't check out versions 1 or 2, and to be honest I haven't actually checked out Pagani Design for quite a while either. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I used to review quite a few, but I felt like they kind of lost their way a bit, so I just didn't check out any of the newer models. That was until I saw pictures of this one. So, I've been trying it out for a while. Full disclosure, I wasn't sent the watch for free, but I did get it for about half price I think it was. So make of that what you will, but if you've been around here a while, you'll know it doesn't make any difference either way. I'm going to keep it 100% honest all the time, no matter what. So, question is this better than the MoonSwatch? Let's jump right in and find out. I won't show you the box because it's the usual Pagani one, but I will show you what else comes in it. So you get this NATO strap for free, which is pretty nice. Although I've not really worn it because I'm not really a fan of NATO straps. But if you are, this is a pretty good one. Stitching's nicely done. Nice hardware. You've got the branded Pagani Design buckle as well. Then we've got the links I've taken out. So to get it to fit my 7-inch wrist, I've taken out this many links. So if you've got a much bigger than that wrist, you may struggle to get this to fit because there aren't that many spare links now to actually be able to take out. When it comes to these links though, these are all individual pieces, which is a nice touch. So those little polished ones in the centre aren't just polished parts of that outer link, they're actually separate pieces. So nicely done. And the push pins as well. Here is the actual watch. So the main difference with this one compared to the other two versions, the reason that I decided to go for this one, is those hands. So on previous versions they were actually silver, so they didn't stand out very well against the dial. But now they're white, like the original. It's far, far better. So before we talk about that dial a bit more, let's quickly go over the dimensions. So we've got a diameter of 41mm, although the listing does say it's 40, but I suspect that might be the bezel they're measuring there. Because if I show you the measurement for that, that is actually 40, or more or less bang on. But you can see the case does actually stick out a little bit past that bezel. When it comes to the thickness, that's coming in at 13.6, lug width 20, and then the all important lug to lug is coming in at 48.5. So pretty nice dimensions there, and it is a really nicely finished case as well actually. So you've got those twisted kind of style lugs with the chamfered polished detail on there, which, because obviously it's polished, it does pick up fingerprints a bit. One of the slight downsides, but as I said, it does look really good. And the transition between the two is nicely done. And then we've got that polished detail underneath the bezel as well. So a nice mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. When it comes to the bracelet, as I said, they're all individual pieces, so it articulates quite nicely. Then we've got the Pagani Design branded clasp with the double pushers, and it's a milled clasp, but the shell is actually pressed. Then when it comes to that case back, I'm just going to zoom in on that. So we've got a pretty nice case back here, space themed design, and then we've just got the specs around the outside. So 100 metre water resistance, the model number, the fact that it's stainless steel, and obviously Pagani Design. When it comes to the bezel, it's actually a ceramic bezel, so unlike the original one is actually aluminium. So that's going to be one of those you either love or hate. I personally prefer that they've changed it. I'm not really the biggest fan of aluminium bezels, although I know they are more in keeping with the kind of style and the vintage kind of look. But let me know, what do you think? Which do you prefer? When it comes to the dial, we've got a fully printed dial, Pagani Design logo at the top, then the Pagani Design text, and then chronograph just below that. Then down at the bottom, we've got Japan movement just below that bottom subdial. Speaking of those subdials, they are nicely sunken, so it adds a little bit of depth to that dial. As does that date window, which is nicely integrated down there. at the 430 with the colour match date wheel, which I do appreciate. I know some people don't like date wheels on watches like this, they think it interrupts the flow. I personally quite like it if it is colour matched, because you don't really notice it when you're wearing it unless you actually want to look at the date. So just quickly zoom back out and then I'll show you this in function. So start with the chrono. So obviously press that, activate the chrono. You see we've got a smooth kind of sweep, almost like a mechanical. That's because this is a mecha quartz movement in this. It's the VK63. Press that again, stop it obviously, press the bottom one, resets. Lines up nicely as well, and with those white hands against that black dial, does contrast really nicely. Definitely a huge upgrade over the previous version. When it comes to that crystal, a nice domed crystal on that, and let's test whether it is sapphire using the trusty down select 2. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal. So that's always good to see. Again, not really in keeping with the original, but again, an upgrade I appreciate. But again, let me know, would you have preferred a mineral or something like acrylic, or do you prefer having sapphire? So now, let's check out what the lume's like on this. So you can see we've got a little bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So initially, it's actually looking pretty good. No patchiness at all, consistent across the hands and the indices. So, as I say, initially, quite good. Only slight issue being though, it's a lot like a lot of the Paganis I've reviewed previously, it just doesn't last long enough. You can kind of forgive that for this kind of style of watch, and with it having just a printed dial, no applied indices, not being a diver. So for the kind of style of watch it is, I guess it's alright, but again, not the best. So all that's left to do now is show you what this is like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist, and it does wear really nicely. Do you like the way the light catches all those polished chamfer details on the case, and also those little polished details on the bracelet as well? And it does fit really nicely, because you've got micro adjust on the clasp, fairly small links, so sizing it isn't an issue at all. One slight issue I do have with the bracelet though, some of the links underneath are a touch sharp in a few places, so the finishing could use a little bit of tweaking, just refining slightly, but other than that, can't really fault the bracelet, or the watch to be honest. I love that dome crystal, the fact that it's sapphire is a bonus, so you're not going to worry about it. Like that ceramic bezel insert again, that's going to be personal taste whether you prefer that or an aluminium one, but I personally prefer that. And obviously those white hands, that's what makes all the difference with this particular version, the V3. It just completes the watch, it's what it needed from the beginning. So it's good to see that Pagani are listening and they've sorted that out. So would I recommend this watch? I think I would, yeah. The only things that really need improving, the lume, but again, this kind of style of watch, you can kind of forgive that. The only other slight one is that bracelet. A couple of little bits that are a tiny bit sharp, so QC could use a little bit of improvement maybe. Oh, quickly take this off, I'll quickly show you something else actually. I completely forgot to mention that we have actually got a diver's extension for some reason. I don't really know why, because obviously this isn't a diver, it's just a pressed one as well, so make of that what you will. I personally could do without it though, you don't need it on this kind of watch, but I thought it was a bit of an odd quirk. So odd little quirks aside, with that diver's extension and a couple of slight little niggly bits maybe, that bracelet being a touch sharp in a couple of places, and the lume, again, it's not really a major issue for this kind of watch. I can't really fault this, I definitely recommend it. If you are interested in picking one up, links are down in the description as always. But let me know, what do you think? Is this a better option than the MoonSwatch? Obviously you can't really get hold of the MoonSwatch at the moment, whereas this one you can. But if you could get hold of both, which would you be going for? Which do you think is the better value, the better watch? But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.